students. In today's video, we are going to discuss phases of clinical trials, a complete comprehensive overview. This video is fifth in the series of videos on new drug discovery and development. Now, as we all know, discovery and development of a new drug is a highly complex process. During drug discovery, around 5,000 to 10,000 active compounds are screened. Out of these, majority of compounds are rejected, around 250 active compounds are selected and are further screened by preclinical studies. By the end of preclinical studies, around 5 potential drug candidates are identified, which are further screened and evaluated during the clinical trials. At the end of clinical trial, a single, safe, effective new drug is identified with optimal pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic, pharmaceutical and toxicological properties. If approved by the licensing authority, that is FDA, Food and Drug Administration, it is released in the market. Now, data obtained from preclinical studies is compiled in investigational new drug application, that is IND application, which is reviewed by FDA. On obtaining approval by FDA, clinical trials are carried out, namely phase 1 clinical trials, then phase 2 clinical trials, followed by phase 3 clinical trials. Data collected from these trials is compiled in a new drug application, that is NDA, which is again reviewed by the FDA. If FDA grants marketing permission, new drug is manufactured on large scale and it is made available in the market for the treatment of a specific disease or disorder. Phase 4 trials are carried out after the drug is released in the market. The trial is also called as post-marketing surveillance. Now, very important to note here that preclinical studies are always performed in animals, while the clinical studies are performed in human beings. So, clinical trials are research studies that are performed in human beings with the primary goal of evaluating safety and efficacy of new drug. So, very important to remember that the main aim of all these clinical trials is to evaluate the safety and the efficacy of a new drug. Now, types of clinical trials. There are 5 types of clinical trials, namely phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. Now, phase 0, phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials are performed before approval of new drug, while phase 4 clinical trial is performed when the drug is approved by FDA and is available in the market. Now, phase 0 clinical trials are also called as microdosing study. Now, in these trials, microdoses, around 1% of the estimated dose of the drug, is administered to the human volunteers and pharmacokinetics of the drug is evaluated. Now, phase 0 is not mandatory and it is not performed during discovery and development of each new drug. Then phase 1 trials. These trials explore or investigate safety and the dose range of the drug candidates. Then phase 2 trials, these explore or investigate therapeutic efficacy of the drug candidates. Phase 3 trials finally confirm efficacy of the drug candidates, and apart from this, efficacy of the drug candidate is compared with the available standard drug or therapy in the market. Now, by this stage, that is by the end of phase 3 trials, one new drug is identified while all the other drug candidates are rejected. Then phase 4 trials. Phase 4 trials are done when the new drug is approved, it is released in the market, it is consumed by thousands of the patient population, and main aim of the study is to continue monitoring safety and efficacy of the new drug even after its approval when it is released in the market. And this study is called as the post-marketing surveillance. And now let's discuss all the phases of clinical trials one by one. First is the phase 0. It's also called as microdosing study. as micro doses of the drug are administered in human volunteers and pharmacokinetic parameters are studied. Now, phase 0 is a new concept. It is a new strategy, and it is primarily designed to speed up the process of new drug discovery and development, thereby reducing both the cost and the time of drug discovery. However, phase 0 studies are not fully developed technically, and thus these studies are neither established nor they are mandatory to be conducted during the process of new drug discovery. Now, it has been found that many drug candidates fail and are rejected late during the clinical trials. That means they are rejected during the phase 1, phase 2 or phase 3 clinical trials due to suboptimal human pharmacokinetics. So, phase 0 studies ensure that the drugs with suboptimal pharmacokinetics are rejected before conducting phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 studies. Now, this saves the time and it also reduces the cost of the study and thus speeds up the process of new drug discovery. Now, phase 0 studies are carried out in 10 to 50 healthy volunteers. Now, dose and design of the phase 0 clinical trials: subtherapeutic doses less than 1% of the estimated dose to produce the clinical effect is administered to human volunteers and pharmacokinetic parameters are evaluated. Now, duration of the trial is around 7 days. Look at this table. It gives comparative information on phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials. Now, phase 1 clinical trials are safety exploration and dose ranging studies. So, the purpose of the phase 1 trials is primarily to evaluate safety of the drug candidate. It also determines safe dose and identify the side effects. Drug candidate under supervision is studied in 20 to 100 healthy volunteers. Now, the trial is started with the subtherapeutic dose. Now, when talking about the design of the trial, it is either single ascending dose study or it is a multiple ascending dose study. Now, in single ascending dose study, to a small group of human volunteers, single dose of the drug is given. Pharmacokinetic parameters are evaluated, and if they are found to be safe, dose is increased. So, dose is escalated till maximum tolerated dose is reached. That is, maximum tolerated dose is determined. Now, maximum tolerated dose is the highest dose that will produce the desired therapeutic effect with acceptable side effects. So, this is very, very important that the maximum tolerated dose is determined. So, safety of the drug is evaluated. Safe dose and the dose range is also decided. Now, duration of the study is up to several months. Phase 2 clinical trials are therapeutic efficacy exploration studies. So, after the evaluation of safety of drug in the phase 1, primary aim of the phase 2 trials is to evaluate efficacy of the drug, and in addition to this, safety of the drug is further evaluated. Now, it involves 100 to 500 patients. Dose administered to the patients is the therapeutic dose. Very important, the phase 2 trials are randomized, placebo-controlled trials. Now, here placebo is an inactive drug. Now, two groups are made. In one group, patients are given placebo, and in the other group, patients are given the drug. Now, after this, each patient volunteer is randomly assigned a group, either a group where the drug is administered or a group where placebo is given. Now, improvement in the symptoms of disease are evaluated and compared between the two groups. That is, the group where placebo is given and the group where the actual drug is given. Now, this interprets the efficacy of the drug. Now, duration of the trial is several months to 2 years. Now, phase 3 trials further confirm efficacy of the drug candidate. Another important purpose of the phase 3 trial is to compare the efficacy and safety of drug candidate with the standard drug or the treatment available in the market. Additionally, side effects are also monitored. Now, the drug is tested in 500 to 3000 patients. The dose administered is a therapeutic dose. Now, design very important. Phase 3 trials are randomized, double-blind, comparative trials. So, 2 groups are made. In one group, patients are given the new drug candidate, and in the other group, patients are given the standard drug. Now, after this, each patient volunteer is either randomly assigned a group where new drug candidate is given or a group where the standard drug is administered. Now, improvement in the symptoms of disease are observed and compared between the 2 groups. Now, this evaluates the efficacy and safety of new drug candidate in comparison with the standard drug. Now, the trials are double-blind. So, neither the patient volunteer nor the researcher knows which drug the patient is receiving. That is, these people do not know that whether the patient is receiving the actual new drug candidate or the patient is receiving the standard drug. So, this reduces the experimental bias. Now, duration of the trial is 1 to 4 years. Now, by the end of phase 3 trial, all drug candidates are rejected and only one best potential candidate which is safe, efficacious with optimal pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic, pharmaceutical and toxicological properties emerges out as a new drug. Now, if this new drug is approved by FDA, it is released in the market and phase 4 studies are initiated. Now, this phase is also called as the post-marketing surveillance. Now, post-marketing surveillance refers to the monitoring of drug safety after the new drug reaches the market. So, these trials are initiated after the release of new drug in the market. Now, primary purpose is to monitor long-term safety, efficacy, and to report occurrence of adverse drug reactions like idiosyncratic adverse drug reactions. Now, as the drug is released in the market, the study is done on large patient population. Now, as per the regimen decided, therapeutic dose is given to the patient. And this post-marketing surveillance is done for 1 to 4 years. Now, apart from monitoring the adverse drug reactions, phase 4 trials also predict drug interactions, then potential alternate use of the drug and modification of the dosage if required. Now, many times a drug is withdrawn from the market because of very serious adverse drug reactions. So, this is in brief about all the phases of clinical trials, a complete comprehensive overview. If you find the video useful, kindly like, subscribe and share this video. Thanks for watching this video.